The siren was already screaming when the dog stepped into the road. Red and blue lights shattered across the rain-dark asphalt, reflecting off shop windows like broken glass. Inside the ambulance, a man was slipping away. You could hear it in the medic's voice. Tight, rushed, one breath ahead of panic, as her hands worked his chest with practiced desperation. Every second felt loud. Every heartbeat felt borrowed. Then the brakes slammed. The ambulance jolted forward, tires shrieking, equipment rattling like bones in a metal cage. The driver swore under his breath as a German shepherd stood dead center in the lane, unmoving, not snarling, not barking, just standing there, soaked fur clinging to muscle, eyes locked on the windshield with an intensity that felt almost human. "Hurry," someone whispered. "We don't have time for this." But the dog didn't flinch. Rain slid down its muzzle. Its chest rose and fell, slow, controlled, like it was listening to something no one else could hear. The siren wailed on, useless now, echoing into the cold afternoon. Police shouted from behind. Hands waved. The world screamed urgency. And still the dog refused to move. In that suspended moment, with a life fading behind glass and a silent animal blocking the way, no one yet understood the terrible, heartbreaking reason why. The morning had trained Rex the way every other morning had, with routine carved deep into muscle and memory. The cold air bit through his fur as he sat beside Officer Malik's boots. Spine straight, ears tuned to everything and nothing at once. The city breathed around them in quiet pulses. Distant engines, a shutter lifting, the smell of damp concrete and yesterday's rain. Rex watched Malik sip coffee he wouldn't finish, watched the familiar hands tighten gloves, heard the low hum of a day beginning like any other. Rex knew Malik's rhythms better than command. The way his shoulders eased when danger passed, the way his scent changed when worry crept in, sharp and metallic like old coins. Training had taught Rex when to move, when to stay, when to bite, when to release. Love taught him the rest. It lived in small gestures, an extra second of scratching behind the ears, a whisper to good boy and meant for no one else, the quiet trust of shared nights in patrol cars. The call came without drama, just a crackle over the radio, words that didn't raise voices but tightened spines. Rex felt it before Malik spoke, before boots moved faster, before doors slammed. Malik's scent shifted, stress blooming sudden and wrong. They were halfway across the street when Malik slowed. His steps faltered, rhythm breaking like a dropped beat. Rex turned, ears flattening, confusion rippling through him as Malik's breath stuttered. The sound of Malik hitting the pavement was dull, unfinished. Rex lunged, training colliding with panic, nose pressed to Malik's face, breath hot against cooling skin. The world narrowed to scent and sound. Sirens swelling somewhere distant, Malik's heart misfiring beneath his palm. Rex whined once, low and sharp, then stood over him, body a barrier, eyes scanning for threats that suddenly didn't matter. Commands never came. Only shouting, boots, hands pulling Rex back. He resisted, not with teeth, but with weight, anchoring himself to Malik's side. He memorized Malik's scent in that moment, cataloged the wrongness of it, the fear leaking out like smoke. Somewhere, another siren grew closer, louder, slicing through the air with urgent violence. They lifted Malik onto a stretcher, hands fast, voices clipped. Rex followed until a leash snapped tight, jerking him back. He strained forward, chest heaving, nails scraping asphalt. The ambulance doors slammed, and the siren howled alive. Rex felt the pull of it like a physical force, something tearing away what mattered most. When the ambulance rolled forward, Rex broke free. Training dissolved under instinct older than uniforms and rules. He ran, legs pumping, lungs burning, until he was in the road, directly in the path of the screaming lights. He planted himself there, muscles trembling, head high. The ambulance braked hard, tires shrieking, metal groaning. Rex didn't move. He stared into the windshield, seeing nothing, listening for something only he could hear. He wasn't blocking a vehicle. He was holding a line. Behind him, Malik lay unconscious, breath thin, heart uncertain. Ahead of him, another life waited inside flashing metal. Rex stood between them because no one had told him which one to choose. Rain began to fall, slicking his fur, soaking into the cracks of the road. Sirens wailed, voices shouted, but Rex remained still, guarding the space where love and duty collided, believing with every fiber of his being that this was exactly where he was meant to stand. The siren clawed at Rex's ears, a sound meant to clear roads and scatter hesitation, but to him it was something else entirely. It was wrong, too close, too sharp. It vibrated through his bones, rattled his teeth, drowned out everything except the memory of Malik's breath, stuttering against his muzzle. Rex held his ground, paws splayed on the wet asphalt, feeling the cold seep up through the pads of his feet like a warning. Shouts came from behind him. Human voices layered over one another, thick with urgency and irritation. Hands waved. A door slammed. Rex didn't turn. Turning meant breaking focus, and focus was the only thing keeping the world from splintering apart. His eyes stayed fixed ahead, not on the ambulance itself, but on the space beyond it, the invisible thread pulling him backward toward Malik. Rex didn't think in words, but his mind moved through memories the way his nose moved through scent. Training fields flooded back, dust rising in the heat, commands barked clean and sharp, rewards earned through precision. He remembered being taught to stop traffic, to control crowds, to become a wall when Malik needed one. Stand. Stay. Hold. Those words lived inside him like bones. But there were other lessons, quieter ones. Nights when Malik leaned against the patrol car, exhaustion rolling off him in heavy waves. Storms where thunder cracked the sky, and Malik's hand rested steady on Rex's neck, grounding them both. The way Malik's scent always changed just before danger, sharpened and electric, and how Rex learned to trust that change more than any shouted order. Now Malik's scent was everywhere, but wrong, fading, thinned by fear and something colder beneath it. Rex felt it drifting away, and panic clawed at his chest. If he moved, if he allowed the ambulance to pass, the sound and motion would pull Malik further from him, away, lost. So he stayed. Raying his vision, he blinked hard, ears flattening as another horn blared. His muscles shook, not from fear but from effort. Standing still was harder than running. It demanded belief without proof. It demanded choosing instinct over obedience, loyalty over order. A police officer approached slowly, palms raised, voice low. Rex smelled frustration, confusion, a flicker of doubt. The man tried to reach for Rex's collar. Rex shifted just enough to block him. Not aggressive, just immovable. A living barricade. His chest rumbled with a warning growl that surprised even him. It faded quickly, replaced by a tense silence. Rex's world narrowed further. He heard Malik's heartbeat in memory, felt it under his paws clearly as if Malik were still beneath him. That memory anchored him. As long as he stood here, Malik wasn't gone. As long as the road remained closed, the story wasn't finished. Inside the ambulance, someone shouted numbers. Rex didn't know what they meant, but he knew the tone. The same tone Malik used when danger crept too close. Time was breaking apart, stretching thin, and Rex felt the weight of it pressing down on his spine. Cars idled. Rain pooled around his paws. The siren cut out briefly, plunging the world into an unnatural quiet that rang louder than sound. In that silence, Rex heard a gasp from behind him. Human voices shifted, urgency bending into something else. Realization. Rex didn't understand their words, but he felt the change. Attention moved away from him, flowed backward toward where Malik lay unseen by most. Footsteps hurried past Rex now, not toward the ambulance, but toward the fallen officer. Medical bags hit the ground. Gloves snapped into place. Rex's ears twitched. His chest loosened a fraction. He stayed where he was, guarding the road, until the moment he felt it. The faintest change in the air. Malik's scent growing stronger again. Breath rejoining body. Relief hit Rex like a wave, sudden and overwhelming. His legs nearly buckled. Only then did he take a step back, just one. The ambulance surged forward, siren roaring back to life as it passed inches from his face. Wind whipped his fur, rain stung his eyes, but Rex didn't flinch. He watched it disappear down the road, carrying the other life it was meant to save. Behind him, Malik was still here. Rex turned at last, trotting back toward the stretcher, every step lighter than the last. The road behind him lay open now, ordinary again, but Rex knew better. He had felt the moment the world asked him to choose, and he had answered the only way he could, by listening to what love had taught him long before anyone taught him to obey. The road did not empty all at once. It loosened slowly, like a held breath finally being let go. Engines restarted. Doors closed. Voices softened from sharp commands into low murmurs. Rain kept falling, steady and indifferent, washing the sharp edges off everything it touched. Rex felt it soak through his fur, cooling skin that still hummed with tension. He stayed close to Malik. They had moved Malik onto a stretcher now, oxygen hissing softly, A sound Rex recognized from training exercises, but had never heard paired with this much fear. Tubes, wires, hands everywhere. Rex paced in a tight half circle, careful not to cross into their space, because he knew that look too. The look that said, "Do not interfere." Still, his eyes never left Melek's face. Pale, too still, but breathing. Breathing was everything. Rex lay down when a medic finally gestured him closer. He pressed his body against the stretcher's side, grounding himself there, feeling Malik's warmth through metal and fabric. Each rise and fall of Malik's chest echoed in Rex's own. They matched their breathing without trying. They always had. Time became strange. It no longer rushed like the siren had. It stretched thick and heavy, each second a thing Rex could feel passing. He listened to the rain hit the stretcher rails. He listened to Malik's breath. He listened for danger, even though none came. His muscles ached now, exhaustion seeping in where adrenaline had been. Humans talked around him, voices low, reverent in a way Rex didn't hear often. Someone crouched nearby, crying openly, the sound raw and unguarded. Rex turned his head, ears tilting, absorbing the emotion like scent, grief, relief, shock, all tangled together. Rex didn't understand words like a lucky or a miracle, but he understood tone. He understood when the air shifted from fear toward something gentler. Malik was still unconscious, but his scent had changed again. No longer fading, no longer slipping away. It was tired now. Weak, but present. They loaded Malik into another ambulance. This one waited patiently, as if it had learned something from the road. When they asked Rex to stay back, he resisted for half a second, then stopped. Malik was breathing. The line had been held. Rex watched the doors close, tail low but steady, trusting for the first time since the collapse. As the ambulance pulled away, Rex stood alone in the rain. The road was open now, nothing blocking it, nothing special about it at all. He crouched in front of Rex slowly, respectfully, like approaching something sacred. "He's going to be okay," he said softly. Rex didn't understand the sentence, but he understood the release in the air. He stood, tail lifting just slightly, ears pricked. His chest loosened for the first time since the street. They let Rex in after that. The room was dim, lights lowered, machines humming quietly like distant insects. Malik lay in the bed, pale but breathing, chest rising in a slow, steady rhythm that felt like forgiveness. Rex approached carefully, step by step, afraid to break the moment by arriving too loudly. He placed his chin on the edge of the mattress and waited. Malik's eyes fluttered open. This time they stayed that way. For a long second, Malik just looked at Rex, confusion clouding his gaze. Then recognition dawned, slow and heavy. His breath hitched. His hand lifted, weak but determined, and found Rex's head. "You stayed," Malik whispered, voice rough and broken. Rex leaned into the touch, eyes closing, tail thumping once against the floor. Not fast, not excited, just enough. Malik's hand trembled, fingers tangling in Rex's fur like he needed the contact to stay tethered to the world. Tears slipped from Malik's eyes, silent and unchecked. Rex licked one away without thinking, salt sharp on his tongue. Malik laughed weakly, a sound halfway to crying, and rested his forehead against Rex's. Outside the room, officers stood quietly, some with arms crossed, some with hands pressed to their mouths. No one spoke, no one needed to. They had seen bravery before, charging into danger, pulling people from wreckage, taking hits meant for others. But this was different. This was stillness in the face of chaos. Rex stayed by Malik's bed through the night. He didn't sleep deeply. He never did when Malik was vulnerable. Every beat, every footstep, every change in breath registered instantly, but the fear was gone now. In its place was something softer, heavier, relief settling in his bones. By morning, sunlight crept through the blinds, painting thin gold lines across the floor. Rex watched dust drift through them, peaceful and slow. Malik slept, color slowly returning to his face. Life, stubborn and quiet, was reclaiming its space. A nurse came in and smiled when she saw Rex. She didn't try to move him. She just adjusted a blanket and whispered, "Good job." Rex didn't lift his head. He already knew the job wasn't about praise. It was about staying. When Malik woke again, stronger this time, he rested his hand on Rex's back and let it stay there. The noise of the world felt far away now. No sirens, no shouting. Just the low hum of machines and the steady rhythm of two lives that had nearly drifted apart and somehow found each other again. Rex breathed in, then out, finally allowing himself to rest. The road was behind them now. The line had held. And for the first time since he'd stepped into the street, Rex felt something he hadn't felt all day. Peace. Recovery did not arrive all at once. It came in fragments, the way daylight enters a room before the sun is fully up. Malik grew stronger by inches, then by steps. Rex measured that progress the only way he knew how, by scent, by breath, by the weight of Malik's hand when it rested on his head. Every day that hand felt steadier. Every day the fear faded a little more. Rex stayed close through it all. He learned the hospital's rhythms the way he once learned city streets. Morning carts rattling down halls, soft voices at shift changes, the squeak of shoes on polished floors. He memorized which nurses smelled kind, which doctors carried exhaustion, which visitors brought tension clinging to their clothes. He positioned himself accordingly, always between Malik and whatever felt wrong. When Malik finally stood on his own, legs shaky, Rex rose with him, shoulder pressed against thigh, a quiet break. Malik laughed then, breathless and amazed, and leaned down to rest his forehead against Rex's skull. The laugh carried relief, and something else too. Gratitude mixed with disbelief, as if he was only just beginning to understand what had happened. The story followed them when they left the hospital. It spread faster than either of them could keep up with. Phones appeared. Voices asked questions. Words like hero and miracle floated through the air, heavy and awkward. Rex didn't like the attention. He tucked himself closer to Malik's leg, grounding himself in the familiar scent of home, of survival. Malik spoke when he had to. His voice was calm, but his eyes always flicked down to Rex, checking, acknowledging. He never exaggerated. He never framed it as anything extraordinary. He told the truth, plain and quiet. That his dog had stood in the road. That his dog had known something was wrong. That his dog had refused to let the world rush past him. At night, when the noise finally died down, Rex would lie beside Malik's bed, listening to his breathing in the dark. The memory of sirens still lived somewhere deep inside him, but it no longer ruled him. It had become just another sound, filed away among thunder and fireworks and storms that passed. Weeks later, they returned to the street. It looked ordinary, almost offensively so. Dry pavement. Traffic lights blinking through their cycles. People crossing without a thought. The place where Rex had stood was just another stretch of road now. No marker to say what had happened there. Rex sniffed the ground anyway. The scent was gone, washed away by rain and time, but the feeling lingered. Malik stood beside him, hands in his pockets, eyes distant. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The road remembered, even if no one else did. Malik crouched and wrapped his arms around Rex's neck, pressing his face into fur. His breath caught. Rex leaned into the embrace, steady and solid, the same way he had leaned into the line he refused to cross. For a long moment, they stayed like that, two silhouettes against the moving city. Life returned to routine after that, though it never felt quite the same. Patrols resumed. Training sessions continued. Rex still followed commands with sharp precision, still ran when told to run, stopped when told to stop. But there was something deeper now, something unspoken and understood. Trust reinforced by choice. Sometimes on quiet nights, Malik would sit on the floor and Rex would rest his head in Malik's lap. Malik would scratch behind his ears and whisper nothing at all, words unnecessary. Rex would close his eyes, breathing slow and even, knowing that if the world ever asked him again to choose between motion and meaning, he already knew the answer, because he had learned something in that moment on the road. That obedience is important, but connection is sacred. That rules keep order, but love keeps people alive. And that sometimes the bravest thing you can do, whether you walk on 2 legs or 4, is to stand still when everything else is screaming at you to move. The city would forget the exact place where a German shepherd once blocked an ambulance. Sirens would keep wailing, roads would keep opening, but Rex would remember, and so would Malik, not as a headline, not as a story told for applause, but as a quiet truth carried between them, like a shared breath. A road once asked a dog to move. He didn't. And because of that, 2 hearts kept beating, one human, one loyal beyond words, side by side long after the sirens faded.